remember back then we were trying to look for a good preschool and for all of you to shift to Dehradun, and we just couldn't find anything.
Yeah, because there was nothing like.
Nothing like the likes of what you have in Delhi.
Yeah.
We are here to serve the society, right? That's what from my grandfather's generation, that's what we've been into, right? फिर से बोलो, चलाते हैं?
So since we are Plaza. Hi guys, welcome to the Humans of Punnya. Today we are decoding Punnya with Aditya and myself. I'm Kriti. And we have a round of questions and answers. So why don't you start?
So if I look back at my childhood and I reminisce my memories, so I have that same feeling because today here we are sitting in this lovely school that we've all created together. I'd like to share some memories of my childhood. So when I was in boarding, I went to the Doon school. I remember I used to always bunk school, go for cross countries, and go and order pizzas. So that's how things have changed now. There's so much emphasis on early childhood education. So that's that time it was different. So now here we are trying to really make the foundation strong.
Yes.
For kids. So yeah.
Okay. The next question is, which I'm going to ask you, or you ask me. Back in your school days, who amongst your friends was the most likely to get into trouble?
Clearly Harsh.
Harsh? Do you have any anecdotes with him?
So once, he was obviously leaving school because he didn't want to be in school. And so this was his last day in school. So he'd got his car. He was a school guy, right? He got his car and he got his driver and we all sat in his boot. And we
in the dicky of his car.
And we like...
You left the compound?
We left the compound. We left Doon School, which is like non-negotiable, right?
Oh my God.
So that was crazy. That's one of my favorite
memories of it. Yeah. That's a lot of fun. So the next question is that whose idea was it to come up with Punnya? So the idea of having a school was always Adi's dream. Since the time I've known him, which is now 20 years, he's always dreamt, because they're a family of educators and so many schools that, my grandfather-in-law, my father-in-law, and even today we run in Dehradun. He wanted to set up something which was unique, which was for, the age group of, I think, 2 to 5, where there was nothing in this area of Dehradun and something like this all over Dehradun. So this was his vision and he really followed his heart. It took him many years to come up with this idea, to really implement it. It was only a vision, which with the help of, so many of our friends and so many of Adi's, benefactors, we were able to create this. So Punnya was Adi's vision since, ever since I've known him.
So, so this whole thing got quite... Summer's Asan Summer when he was born, I think this entire thing picked up motion because remember back then we were trying to look for a good preschool and for all of you to shift to Dehradun,
right?
And we just couldn't find anything.
Yeah, there was nothing like
nothing like the likes of what you have in Delhi.
Yeah.
So it was always in my mind to set up something which is unique, which is better than what's in Delhi, especially because of the environment and the climate here. You know how Delhi is dealing with pollution, right?
Right.
So we wanted a school which was larger than life. It was magnanimous. Where kids could just run around freely. Play schools for a lot of people till date is about stuffing children into rooms and not giving them any play area. Open play area. It's very important for children to be out in the sunlight, run around, get hurt also for that matter.
And also to be in nature, to have a little more outdoor for children. I think that we were inspired by a few schools in Delhi, and I think that are sprawling campuses. But I have to say that you have outdone yourself,
right?
Because even Delhi doesn't have anything like this.
We're fortunate, I would thank God, because my grandfather had this vision, and so where we're sitting right now, this was started in the 1950s by my granddad, and clearly nobody really cares for Hindi medium education anymore. So we could just turn around the space and create something that's more relevant today. So what better use than that
To the real
and
estate.
to the real estate, and of course we are here to serve the society, right? That's what from my grandfather's generation, that's what we've been into, right? He really believed in charity. My father's carried that on, and now we in our generation are trying to do the same. It's a huge responsibility on our shoulders, but let's see how far we get.
Correct. The next question is that how did the name Punya come up, and who came up with the name?
I'll give you a little backstory for this. So, there's a very dear friend of ours called Mohit Sinha. He's also a teacher at the Doon School, and he's also family. So, one day I was just discussing this with him, and we decided to name this behind my grandfather's name. So, he said, this is this is very primitive, and this is not a good idea. So, you should come up with something better. So, then he introduced me to this lady who's a specialist in naming businesses. So I got in touch with her, and she took a little brief, and she came up with a few options, and they just didn't seem to work, unfortunately. And so I was just sitting on it, and I'm like, I'm really stuck, and time is just running, and the branding agency was constantly asking me what's the name, and we got to get started. Suddenly, out of the list of names that she shared, we mixed 2-3 names and came up with Punya.
What were the 2 and 3 names that you mixed?
So we told her to, keep this in mind, that this has to center around my grandfather, right? So she came up with letters of the alphabets of his name, but it just didn't click, right? So when I was just basically playing with the name that she shared, I just put the whole thing, and I didn't even realize that it's, Punya's Punya. I just put letters together, and then when I read it, I think after about half an hour, I realized it's Punya. Good deed. It was like the eureka moment, right?
Oh, so it was like an anagram
Yep.
of letters, which you just came together as Punya.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And then after about half an hour, I called my, I called Kriti, I called my parents, I called my brother, I called everybody. I said, we've got a name. And everybody just got on board and said, this is fantastic, because everybody in Dehradun knows that my grandfather's name was Seth Pannalal Mittal. And, if you make the Y silent, Punna pretty much sounds like Panna, right? So I think we're just fortunate that we could come up with something like this. And it's a very nice sounding name, it just means good. All in all, it's just good, nothing else.
Yeah, that's so true. And also because he believed in charity, and he has done so much charity work in terms of education.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think there was nothing more befitting. I think it all just came together. All the days that we were looking for a name, and all roads lead to this particular day. So all the efforts that we put into to get this name together finally led to this beautiful journey of Panna becoming Punya, and all of it making sense because of the fact that he did a lot of Punya in his life. And so here we are. This is the name we have.
So, the branding agency, on the other hand, so I'll just share a little anecdote. So they were a little unsure, because Punya is not something that you can symbolically represent, right? So, and also you have to be relevant in the modern context. So it was always going to be challenging for them, but they did a great job, I think. I love our logo. I love how our branding language, speaks.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I think God had this plan, and it's just all worked out. It's just beautiful. So there's another very uncanny
Coincidence happenstance.
that Punya, when we realized after we'd gone much far into the branding and we were almost done, and then somebody, I can't recall who, actually came and pointed it out that Punya has initials of the entire family, starting from my grandfather to my parents, my elder brother, my sister, and me. It's just amazing, how this has happened. So it's like the grandfather's blessings, on the entire family. It's just amazing. This is something very divine.
It's how you say that everything just comes together to make a moment happen. And when the name Punya just came out on that sheet of paper, when the first design draft came, it felt like something that was waiting to happen for a long time. Because what is the coincidence of everybody's initials being in that name having a meaning of charity and and goodness and good deeds, which is also something my grandfather-in-law believed in for as long as he lived. And also my father-in-law and mother-in-law have carried that on for the longest time. And the fact that the name if you keep the Y silent, it sounds like Panna. So how wonderful is it that everything just makes
Divine
so much sense?
That's all I could say.
Divine intervention. That this moment was just waiting to happen for so many years.
So, I must share for sure that Kavan, my friend who is now based out of America, he has been very, very instrumental in Punya's journey, because from the time we met in college to when he picked up his first job, which was in the education field, I've been picking his brain. The moment he got a job in a company that did education, I was after his life to help me set up my school, because ever since I was a child, and I could understand business. I always knew that I wanted to do something that had to do with the school, because I always liked the goodness it brought along. Of course, there's a lot that goes into it, but the goodness is paramount here. So Kavan, I think over a period of the last 1 decade, has had to bear, all my brain picking, and he's had to
Night
be
call.
night calls. And now that he's shifted to America only about 2-3 years ago, so night for him,
difference.
day for me, night for me, day for him, stuff like that. So he's really been patient, and I don't think this would have been possible without him. So I would give the entire credit to him. He's in America. I'm sure when he comes to India, he'll be very happy with what
it finally has come down
you know.
to become.
So
So thank you, Kavan. Thank you so
thank
much
you so much,
for
Kavan.
all your support. And I do remember that Punya was not even a thought at one point. And I remember Adi used to sit next to him and say, Ki, "Ab batao, how do we do this? How do we do this?" And he used to be like, "Listen, we've had this conversation 5,000 times. You are not going to do anything about this. So just stop discussing it." He says, "No, one day I am going to spearhead this and you are going to be my support system." And look at, 5 years ago, this was a conversation.
Yeah, I think so.
And here we are. And thanks to Kavan, because he was really at the helm of all of this, guiding you because of his preschool expertise, his experience over the years with Kido and all of that.
Absolutely.
It's been a
It's been a
huge support,
remarkable journey.
a huge support from your end, Kavan. So thank you so much. So a short story about I want to talk about how the branding came about, because the branding is so unique. It's so colorful. There's so much whimsy and beauty to the expression that we have in our, the Punya
Design
brand,
language.
in the brand language and the design language, that we were basically going about looking for who we are going to go to for our branding. And we were going through about 10 or 15 artists and design companies, till a friend suggested that we should open the Instagram account of Studio Exat, which is essentially run by Samira and Dhritiman. And both Adi and I, we just when we happened to open their account, we
knew this was it.
we both together knew that this was it. We knew that we were going to go with them because we had seen their work in some ads. And then we met, and from the moment Samira got a brief from us and Dhritiman, I think the first draft itself that they gave us of the brand, of the I think the logo options and the color options, she just knew what we were looking for. I think it was
She simply nailed it, because
just nailed
just what I had in mind all these years, how I wanted line drawings, and I wanted like people to sketch things, and I didn't want it to look unreal, right? I wanted it to look very natural, and they kind of nailed it. And here we are. So everything in the school, from the stationery to the wall art to the uniforms to the logo, everything just, it's just so well coordinated. It just flows. It's just beautiful.
And we were in so much flow at that point that every design that was coming, I mean, they were show us 10 options, and we were
So confused
were
all the
so
time what to
confused
choose and what to leave.
each
You know?
option was like one better than
One
the
better
other,
than the
and
other,
we were like,
absolutely.
this is Punya, no, this is Punya. To even come to the logo, it took us so long because everything they gave us was just tremendous. It was beautiful, and huge thanks to Studio Exat, Samira and Chitaman for the time they and for the amount of for the what is the word for it, for the wholesomeness of what they have provided to us.
They've really put in their heart and soul, and
Yeah.
I mean, I would totally give this to them.
This is
The way
the way Punya looks is all them. Since we are decoding Punya, I think it is paramount to ask our founder, Mr. Aditya, what his favorite preschool memory was. So Adi, where did you go to preschool?
I don't remember going to preschool. I think back in the day, there was no proper preschool in Dehradun. There still isn't. And that's why here we are doing Pune. The only memory I have of childhood is that I was sent to boarding at the age of 6, which I think really worked out well and in my benefit. But at the time, I thought my parents really didn't like me. You know,
I can imagine how you must
so
have felt.
I really cried myself to sleep. It took me a
You
long
had
time
a
to
tough
settle.
time,
I had a
yeah.
tough time. It took me a long time to settle.
So did you ever really settle? By the time you came to class 8 or 7, you went to Doon school from Welham. Did you settle in Doon? Did you finally feel settled at any
So
point?
by the time I think entered grade 5, I was quite okay. So it's quite embarrassing to say that, till I was almost 9 or 10 years of age, I was still struggling when I was.
Embarrassing. I think it's human. It's fine. So you did have a struggle for till you were about 10.
Yeah, I struggled for the first 4 or 5 years in school. Uh, I was very pampered. I'm the youngest one in the family. All the teachers in Welham, that was my first hostel boarding experience.
And also your brother and sister were
My
there
brother
in
and
school
sister
at
were
the
there all
same
the
time.
time, so I would really take advantage of that. All the teachers, I was literally born in my brother and sister's teachers' laps because, because there's a huge age gap, right? So when my parents would go and do their weekly visits to my siblings, I would be a toddler, and I think the teachers used to play with me, and they were so fond of me. And when I went to boarding, they obviously had to put up a very, like a very
Stiff, yeah.
stiff, front.
Yeah.
So that all didn't work well for me because I knew them in a different capacity.
Right. So it must have been a little
So all the more
tougher
difficult. Yeah.
seeing that, yeah.
Tell me yours now.
Like all other colonies do, ours also had one house dedicated to a play school. So somebody had created the study school, which was in 139, which is about first 30 houses away from my own. And I used to walk it to school obviously every morning. So most days of the week I remember, and I have vivid memories of this. Two people, it could have been me, either my mom and dad or my nanny and my mother, have literally dragged me from my crescent to that crescent. I don't know how many times, me just howling, not ready to go to school, and on an early winter morning, and then delivered there and then picked up later with no option to bunk it. Even at that age, I must have been 3, and I still remember this. Also because I have to say, maybe our school was not as beautiful as this.
I was just going to add, so we're going to make sure that our children love what we've done, and they're going to get after their parents on a Sunday and say, why isn't this?
Why are we not going to school? Because Punya should be like this magnetic school where children are pulled and they
We want to create a happy space. We want happiness for children.
Yeah.
Punya means happiness.
Yeah.
So
And it's going to be like that. I can assure you, because first of all, this property is so beautifully lit. There's so much light. There's so much nature. There's grass. The children can do earthing. The classrooms are so beautifully lit. They're so spacious. Children are going to have, I think they're going to have a very good experience here.